Up here in Sundown Bay, man, it's all, again, back shoreline's one of my favorite areas to fish back up in this area. You got great structure, grass, shell, guts, pinch points, edges. You've got everything that you really want. Now, if you've been on the water back, starting Friday and Saturday, if you happen to be out there on those days, you noticed that the water really dropped out of here on us, and that's been kind of one of those things we've been kind of waiting for it to happen. Just in when it was going to happen, we didn't know, but it would happen, and it did happen. So that changed the game completely. So areas that you've normally been fishing with our normal tides that we've had, pretty much through all of October, November, December, now into January, it's finally fell out. Somebody left the plug undrained out there. So what we got now is it changes where you're going to try to pinpoint where these fish are going to be hanging out at. So up here in Sundown, if you can get out there on the edge of the ICW and this water's super low like this, the back shoreline and stuff, you might be able to wait it, but it's depending on how much water is gone and what type of your tides are coming back in and how fast it's moving to you. That's all a determination you have to make for that particular day. But get out on the edge where you got deeper drops, all up and down Sundown. Some of these guts that go back to these back lakes, they've got some deeper edges and guts to those that you can fish those as well. Bait hadn't been an issue. Now, when it got pretty chilly there for a little bit, that bait got scarce on us, but it's starting to come back. Our water temps are starting to creep back in, starting to get back up in the upper 60s. We've had even a few days where we've had some low 70s in some areas, depending on what estuary that you were fishing. But fish these edges. Fish the deeper edges of it when you got super low tide like that. If you know areas that's got some guts, you got some drains, some deeper channels that go into, like the ICW as another play. Again, the ICW or like the Aransas Channel. If you fish over in that area, you've got some deeper guts that are back in St. Charles area. If you know where those are at, those would be areas of emphasis that you would want to fish. What happens is these fish will start to concentrate and get into some of these areas, and so you just have to kind of locate and see where you can find. See, again, make sure that you got bait working in the area. See when your majors and minors are going to be taking place during that. Again, those have all been spot on for us during the past week. If we were able to fish the major or the minor, either one, they've been both producing fish. The baits that we've been using to catch these fish primarily have been on burner shads. The Twisted Tea, again, that's been pretty productive for a while now. White ice has been good since we've had some of these really calmer, cooler days and stuff. So this water has really cleared up in areas. So you'll want to throw you a more translucent bait like the Firecracker. Chicken of the Sea has been pretty good for us. Also, Supernatural. If you have some of those or can find some of those, that'll be good too. So the things that we are looking for to throw that, of course, the original size in the down south have been good too. Again, all 16th ounce jig heads to work these baits in the shallower water, and that's what you want. You don't want a heavy bait or a heavy jig head to throw those baits with, so you'll be constantly hung up in grass. So take all those things into consideration and make sure that you change venues on to where you fish these areas as far as your guts go. If you know where those are at, get into those areas and try to locate your fish. Spalding area, again, all this area down in here, you've got multiple back lake mouths that you can fish. You've got drains that you can fish. You've got shoreline edges and drops off of this all the way down into here, all the way up in here to the Fingers of Carlos. You can fish that area as well. Like I say, our wind has not been bad at all. We had a couple of days where it was kind of high there for a little bit, but and that was because of the front that was pushed in on us. But what that has done is pushed a lot of water out of here. The water finally dropped out on us, and we've got these super low tides. We've been having negative tides in the morning with a little bit of tide or flow coming back that still haven't gotten us out of that back to a zero tide at best. But that area back here in the Spalding area, you can, and then when that water really does drop out, you can get out there on the flat out in this area here, and you can fish all that flat area out there. There's a bunch of scattered shell that's out there on that side. So there's another point of emphasis that you want to be able to do this. Now, when you're fishing those drains, just look for your bait that's working in which one of these drains that it's working in. And you don't have to have just a tremendous amount of bait. This time of year, just a little bit of bait will hold fish in these concentrated areas like that, especially when the water really drops out. Again, our water temperatures have come up. We're up in the mid 60s, low 70s, depending on where you're at. Now this little front that pushed through here a few days ago, it did drop our temperatures down, but it wasn't significant, not like it was over the Christmas holiday. So that is something to make sure that you take into consideration when you're fishing these deeper areas like that. Mud is your primary source of structure that you want to be over. Some grass that's in there. If you can find clump shell, great. That's what you want that as well. So if you get all three of those in the area that you're going to fish, and then you can incorporate a major or minor in that, and you're probably going to do pretty good in those areas. Again, the baits that we've been using, burner shads primarily. Over the last few days, they've been the most productive for us. The original size in the down south has been good. The knock and tail has been good. Also, the soft dines, XLs, they've worked pretty well. And if just regular soft dines has been good, especially when you had the higher pressure in place, those fish are going to want something that's just a little bit smaller profile during that time frame. Now, we are in a transition mode heading toward a new moon, so we're in the wild card days, so make sure that you've got some choices that you can go to. If you don't have anything that's really being super productive for you or being consistent for you, then change your baits a little bit. But again, you don't need anything bigger than a 16th ounce jig head. If you get into the 1/8 ounce or 3/16 or even a quarter, you're going to have yourself a lot of trouble just catching grass or getting hung up. And that's what we're trying to do, especially when this water, again, the water's dropped out. How long that's going to hang around for us, we will see, but the last few days it's been pretty low. So when you have that lower water, that jig head that slider like that allows the bait to really glide through the water columns, so you can keep it up above the grass lines and you can work all those areas. So work these guts in here, work back in the guts because they're all weightable. You can get back in there. So just make sure that you are locating bait, or see if you got pelicans working or ospreys in these areas that are looking at bait if you don't see bait present. So those are other great indicators for you. Again, the smaller baits, darker water, dark colors, clear water, clear colors, so you're more translucents. So just pay attention to those little bitty things and see what's going on, and see that you can't locate some fish. Over here in Copano, Port Bay area, Pete's Bend, Italian Bend, all this area in here, Rattlesnake Point, all these areas have been pretty good. Now again, water level dropping on us, you're going to find these deeper edges. So over here in Port Bay, you've got this, it comes off that Swan Lake flat that I like so much here. On either side, either on the Rattlesnake Point side or Pete's Bend side, over in Port Bay on this edge that comes all the way down here, you've got that deeper drop that's in there. And it's a great place that you can begin your day, depending on when you start, especially with the tide being low again, is fish those deeper edges like that. These fish will find an area that they really like, that they'll acclimate to, depending on what your water temperature are, seeing what kind of bait you got working in the area. And then, of course, if you got a nice grass, muddy flat that's adjacent to that type of area, as the day progresses, you can get close to, if you found fish on this edge, then you can get up on those flats like this one that's right back in this area here, or this one that's right in this area here. You can fish this whole shoreline all the way down here in Port Bay. All those lend themselves to having a deeper edge to it. They've got great structure that's in there, very weightable. All that area is good. So what you want to be able to do is locate your fish. If you can get there and you're catching fish outside of a major or a minor, then that's a bonus. But the primary thing for us, again, has been the majors and minors have been the most productive for us in any of these estuaries. It doesn't matter where we're fishing. As long as we got some stuff that's in play for us, that's in our favor, i.e. bait, water clarity's been good, the water temperature has been good. Again, the majors and minors are big factors during that time frame. The biggest thing is finding the bait that's in these areas. Again, if you don't see bait, see if you can find you a pelican, or see if you can find an osprey that's working the area as well. Again, the main baits we've been throwing, burner shads, soft dine XL, soft dine the regular size, your darker colors in that. So there's lots of those flavors that are out there. If you've got some that you like, that's what you need to throw. Again, we're progressing toward a new moon. We'll be into that probably in the next 6 days or so. Should be around that time frame when the new moon will be taking place. So, if you're a corky person, get those corkies out and get those ready. Get your soft dines ready. Get your original. And down south and knock and tail, all those lures have been very productive over the past several days for us at different points in time of the day. So it's not just one particular color or one particular brand that we've been throwing. We've been throwing every one of them. We've had production with them to some degree. So, and that's what you really want. So you have lots of different options in these wild card days that we're progressing through right now. Again, pay attention to what your tides are doing, because it's going to be a factor as to where you're going to fish and where these fish will be and where you can find them. Weather patterns look pretty good for the upcoming week. So again, but always pay attention to what's going on with that. Pay attention, as I've said several times, about your majors and minors, and incorporate that into your fishing day, and you will be productive.